Okay, I have a new effect for you today, and for this you could use a borrowed deck of cards, okay? And then just have a spectator mix the cards as much as they would like. Now, I'm going to assume I have two spectators here, though you can actually do this with just one spectator if you prefer, okay? But I'll assume I have a spectator A on the left and a spectator B on the right, okay? So as the performer, I would go ahead and just kind of fan out the cards for the spectators to see. And then I would assign spectator A to choose 8 random red cards, and spectator B needs to choose 8 random black cards. Now, while they're doing that, you turn around as the performer so that you don't see anything. Okay, so spectator A would come in here and just kind of quietly pick up 8 random red cards. Okay, and then just set those down. Spectator B would quietly choose 8 random black cards. Okay, and maybe this one here. Okay, very good. And then you can just tell them that the rest of the deck is not needed, so that can be set aside. And then before you turn around as the performer, have one of the spectators randomly stack the 2 piles so that you don't even know what color's on top. So they'll just quietly do that. And then at this point, you turn around as the performer. Go ahead and just take the cards. Now, in an effort to mix the cards, since we know they're in blocks of red and black here, so all I'm going to do is push off pairs of cards into a triangle shape like this, and then kind of stack in opposite order. Okay? And we'll even follow that up with something called the mange over-under. Okay? So the cards are beginning to be really well mixed here. Okay? And then I'm going to deal out the cards into 2 piles, 1 pile for each spectator. Okay? So what you need them to do, so this is spectator A's pile, spectator B's pile. So have each of them take a look at their top cards, remember them, and then we're going to switch the placement of those cards. So I don't have a spectator here, so we're all going to have to see the cards. So it looks like spectator A, their card to remember is the 2 of spades. See, spectator B, their card to remember is the ace of diamonds. Okay, so those are the 2 cards to remember for each of them. And then you just have them set them on the opposite pile, and then maybe turn to spectator A and say, can you randomly stack the piles? And then stack them however they'd like. Okay? Now, in an effort to mix the cards according to the spectator's choices, turn to spectator A and explain to them that you're free, as a spectator, to deal out the cards into 2 piles with random stacking decided by them. So how would you like the pile stacked? Right on left? Okay? So they truly are free to do one of those left-right dealings with random stacking as many times as they like. Now, we've done it just once, but they can do it 5 times if they like. And then the other mixing we'll have them choose from is something called, just dealing into 4 piles in this way. Okay? Now, they're free to stack the top row on the bottom or vice versa, or the first column on top of the second, or vice versa. So what would you like, spectator A? Top row on the bottom. Okay, how would you like these stacked? Right on left. Okay. Now it is true the spectator can ask for that dealing into 4 to be done as many times as they like with all of those random stacking options. Now for the demonstration, maybe we'll just do it once, but they could do it 3 times, or however many times they would like. Then turn to spectator B and say, well, your dealing is similar but different. In your case, we're going to work with pairs. So I pushed off a pair on the left, a pair on the right, pair on the left, right, left, right, left, right. How would you like these piles stacked? Right on left. Okay? So as was the case for spectator A, we can do one of these dealings or many of those dealings. It really is your choice. And then the other one we'll have you choose from is very similar to spectator A's, but we're going to do it in pairs. So I'm just pushing off pairs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just repeat that. And then you have the same stacking options, top row on the bottom or vice versa, or the first column on top of the second, or vice versa? What would you like? You want the second column on top of the first, like that. Okay, that's fine. How would you like these stacked? Bottom on top. Okay. And so, as is the case for all of the mixing I've shown you, you can perform that as many times as you would like. Okay? And then once both spectators are convinced that the cards are just beyond the knowledge of anyone, you take those back as the performer. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called the Klondike Shuffle. This is where you take the top and bottom off as one, and we're actually going to deal it into that same triangle shape from the very beginning. So I'm Klondike shuffling pairs into 3 piles in this way, stacking in the same way that we did at the very beginning. And then from here, I'm just going to deal out half the cards for spectator A. See, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Leave the other half for spectator B. Okay? And then turn to spectator A and say, well, for the first time, what was the color of the card that you saw? Okay? If I remember right, I believe it was black. Spectator B, what was the color of the card you saw? And they're going to say red. And then point out to them that you as the performer could not possibly know the identity of either one of their cards because you never saw the cards. But the wonderful thing about this routine is even though the performer did not see the cards know what cards both of you saw, and they have devised a way to communicate that information to us. Okay, whoa, how are they going to do that? Well, let's just take a look at each pile here, okay? So I'll go ahead and just spread these out, and I want to see if you can spot how the cards are communicating the identities of both of your cards. Okay, so there's one pile. Maybe I'll fan out this one like that so we don't go off the screen. Okay, so if I remember, spectator A, you said your card was black. Well, I don't know about you, but I think the cards are communicating very clearly the identity of your black card. Is not your black card the 2 of spades? And they're going to say, it is indeed. How in the world? And then spectator B, you can remind them, you told me your card was red. Do you agree that the cards here are communicating clearly to the entire world what red card you actually saw? And their eyes will fall over here and realize, yes, the cards are making it crystal clear as to what red card spectator B saw, namely the ace of diamonds. That is amazing. Okay, well, if you just do everything that I did, this will work perfectly for you. So I will add some notes in the description below, listing the steps if you want to review those, as well as a mathematical explanation as to what's going on and why this works. But this will work perfectly as is, and those shuffles in which we offered the spectator and claimed that they could perform those shuffles as many times as they like, that was true. Those shuffles can be performed in any order and in any quantity, and you'll still finish as I finished here. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.